Welcome to the Somewhat Frank podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, author, and investor Frank Gruber, and joined by entrepreneur, lawyer, and investor John Good Times Guidos. After each having successful startup exits, these two college friends cover a wide array of the latest trends and topics in tech, startups, investing, entertainment, and life. You'll notice they like to live life to the fullest with lots of adventure and believe in celebrating those important wins along the way. The podcast is produced with the help of Established, a strategic consultancy focused on corporate innovation, entrepreneurs, and the ecosystems that support and elevate them. Now it's time to be somewhat frank. Let's get to it.
Everybody, welcome to the Somewhat Frank podcast. I'm your host, Frank Gruber, and with me, as always, my longtime friend, colleague, fellow entrepreneur, and sometimes Bigfoot hunter, adventurer. Should I go on? John Good Times Guidos. Johnny, how are you doing today? What's good?
I'm doing great, Frank. I'm happy to be here. Happy spring is here. Happy to start traveling again. Looking forward to having a nice weekend. How about yourself?
I feel similarly. I'm getting to the point where, I got the one vaccination now, so I'm feeling good. And I'm starting, I got another one coming up here soon, feeling like things are opening up a little bit and looking forward to, some normalcy here in maybe in the summer. I don't know. It's early spring, summer time frame. So I heard you're actually doing something out there, that you're getting some gardening going. You got some chickens. What's going on over there?
Oh yeah, I'm raring and ready to go. It actually snowed here yesterday, which was kind of crazy. I think it
snowed here too.
It was the latest snowfall in Indiana in 92 years, which is wild.
Wow.
But I'm ready to roll, ready to get some plants in the ground. I'm going to be doing some kind of hobby gardening, looking to be more self-sustainable in 2021, and also got some chickens around Easter time, and they're getting big. So build a chicken coop and all that sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time outdoors here in the next year.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. And those are some spring chickens, huh?
They really are. Yeah. No pun intended, but they're getting big and they're a lot more work than I had anticipated. So something to keep in mind for our listeners. If you're thinking about getting chickens, you need to water them or give them water, feed them, and clean them out regularly. So it's not as much glamour as probably the media makes it out to be.
Well, you see a lot of them on Instagram, and you can't actually smell the photos on Instagram. But I do know chickens do sometimes have a bit of a smell, so you've got to be used to that as well.
That is very true. On the hot days, if they're little and you're keeping them in your garage or somewhere, where you frequently walk around, it does get a little pungent. So disclaimer, you heard it here first, folks.
Yes, watch for that. That's why, what I did instead this past week is Earth Week. Decided to plant some blueberry bushes because they don't take quite as much work and they're pretty hardy and they bear fruit as well at some point. So put a bunch of blueberry bushes out there and hopefully they'll have some fruits this year. We'll see.
I think that it sounds like you're starting a new company, Frank's Maine Blueberries. We got to get a logo for that.
Get that brewing. I love those blueberries. Okay. So speaking of we're talking about, I guess we're talking about collecting farm animals and plants here this morning, but I wanted to get rolling here and talk about if you collected anything as a kid. I mean, I collected baseball cards and things. What did you do? Did you collect anything, Matchbox cars or Garbage Pail Kids or anything like that?
Oh yeah. I guess it started in about middle school. I was a big collector of comic books, some of which are actually pretty valuable these days. But I also collected baseball cards and sport cards, football cards, that sort of thing. And then continuing on as I got older, it shifted more to things, a little bit nicer, like guitars, which I can't play, but I collect them, and old coins and fossils. I like history a lot. So that sort of thing. But like you, I was a big collector as a younger kid as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I forgot about comic books. I did also have some of those as well, but mainly was focused on baseball cards. My sisters got me into the Garbage Pail Kids, and we had those for a while. But I feel like it's just, collecting things is kind of part of human nature. So it's been really interesting to see this recent craze, if you will, around this digital environment where you're seeing something called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, being tossed around pretty much everywhere. You're seeing that I've seen everyone from it's gotten pretty mainstream, I guess I could say, with that topic of conversation, really focused on people creating things that are online and selling them kind of similarly to how they would, a baseball card or an actual physical piece of art. And for some significant money, you're seeing these NFTs in the form of video clips. With that, there was a recent selling of sale of a dunk video by LeBron James. It sold for $200,000 on NBA Top Shots. I don't know if you saw that. And
I did. I actually signed up for Top Shots myself to see if I could get into it, and we can talk about it here shortly. But it was a little confusing, and pricey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, then you've also seen things like there was a piece of art that was sold. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Beeple, is that how you say his name? Yeah. He's an artist, and he sold a piece for $69 million, and it was like a collage of a bunch of different pieces of art. It took him like 14 years to make, and sold as an NFT for, which is basically like a digital, basically almost like a JPEG, right? Or
right.
GIF of this piece of art but it's, got more to it because it's got some authentication to it. But anyway, for $69 million, which is quite a bit for that kind of thing. And then Jack Dorsey got in the mix with selling his first tweet ever on Twitter. Kings of Leon, the music group, they were selling music as an NFT. And even celebrities are getting into it. Tom Brady recently jumped on it with, doing something in the field, like starting some kind of NFT company. So it's just a lot going on. And I'm curious, what I want to talk about today is really, is this a fad, or, are they here to stay, or what's your kind of take on it? And we can kind of talk through, where this might be going.
Sure. I've given a lot of thought to this and explored. And I know that you've recently experimented with it as well, but just doing my research, I kind of believe that NFTs as we see them currently, I believe it's somewhat of a fad, right? But I do think that they're going to be around to stay in one format or another, right? Like as crowdfunding or crowd investing becomes easier, more accessible, I think that, those platforms are going to help with, let's call it digital IP, right? Whether it be videos or photos or whatever that looks like. But so I think that as they're currently being done, I think that we're just figuring it out right now as a society or culture, whatever you want to call it. But, like I said, I do think that they're going to be around because just like anything else is you can commoditize things, right? You can sell ownership in tangible items or digital. And I also think that there's going to be a lot of these spin-off markets or spin-off industries that are revolving around that because, take for example, Frank, if you bought a JPEG online for, a significant amount of money, right? Or even an insignificant amount of money. And then, someone copied it or you saw them utilizing it on their platform, what do you do, right? How do you enforce that? How do you track those things down to make sure other people aren't utilizing it and infringing upon those intellectual property rights that you purchased? So I do think that there's going to be some markets that spin out of this. And I do think that it's going to be around in one form or fashion moving forward. But right now it feels a little bit like a fad and almost like a gimmick, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That's a really good point about trying to patrol and figure out who's using your artwork or whatever it is you bought or whatnot. Like right now, you look out for any kind of Giphy or if you say Jiffy, I don't know how you say that. Some people say it one way, some people say it the other. But either way, if you got you do a search on Google for an image, right? There's so many that come up in image search, and yes, they're copyrighted, but people use those images all the time in different ways and breaking the copyright. So this is kind of similar. Like, are people going to be, taking your NFTs and using them in other ways? And, you paid money for that, right? And so I think it kind of adds this whole other layer of how do you enforce it and whatnot. And, but it is interesting. It's interesting because the technology kind of is going to be used for other things, right? Like you said, like there could be a way that this allows for artists and musicians and startup founders and whatnot to be basically paid for their work in a different way. through these kind of like auction houses and sites of that nature. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I wanted to get my hands dirty and figure it out a little bit more to see if it was what the experience was like, especially on the artist side, because been drawing every single day since like last year. So 100 something days in a row here. I've been drawing a sketch every day just to kind of get the creative juices going. It's nice kind of detox from like my laptop or phone or whatever. And anyway, so I took one of those drawings and decided, let's dive in and figure out how to turn this into an NFT. And it took an hour or longer because I had to like read a bunch of stuff. And actually Matt Galligan, an old friend and colleague of mine, had put out a piece how he actually, he was trying to do something similar and accidentally sold his like MG logo. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, he didn't realize that he set the price wrong. So there's definitely a learning curve here. And I tried to learn from him, but still messed up here and there because like, so anyway, I digitized this image. It happens to be a unicorn that I drew a while back and turned it into a digital print, not normal, like what you normally see. A lot of the stuff that's out there is all digital and like moving artwork, things like that. So it's a little bit off as far as what you normally see out there, but I've seen worse for sure. And anyway, and it's all the art is in the eye of the beholder, right? So either way. So anyway, put it out there. There are a lot of steps. The big one that got me was that you have to look at a platform. So I did OpenSea. There's a lot of different platforms. There's even one up here in Maine that's selling these types of pieces and whatnot. But as you use OpenSea because it seemed like it was the leader in the space right now. It's what a lot of these bigger ones are doing. So decided to use that. And, you have to tie it to the blockchain via a wallet of some sort. So I had to like sign up for sign up for OpenSea and then I had to go sign up for MetaMask, which is the wallet account. And then you pick a wallet, like what kind of crypto you want to put in the wallet. And then I basically had to put some Ethereum in there just to get the whole thing to like work one time. So on OpenSea, you have to like authenticate your account with what they call gas, more or less, which this is where I'm like, is this now just like a big scam for me to buy like Ethereum, like, or something? Cause I had to buy like $100 and something worth US dollars worth of Ethereum just to be able to post my drawing.
That's interesting. I didn't realize all that. So you had to buy Ethereum and pay for the listing with the Ethereum?
Yeah, I'm sure there's ways I already have Ethereum in other wallets, but I couldn't figure out how to get it over there. So They didn't accept all the wallets that I already used. So they kind of like move, like that would have been me like moving from wallet to wallet to kind of get over there. So I had to like buy more Ethereum to tie it to this like posting more or less. And I guess that's the one-time thing you do, like you do one time with OpenSea, but I haven't posted multiple pieces. So I'd like to check that out and see if I post another thing, do I have to pay another gas fee or do I have enough, in the, primed in the pump here to like post things to the blockchain or whatever. So that's all a little tricky. And it's not super upfront. And so you're like ready to post and you have to figure that out. And so that's a big gotcha. And so I'm now in like $170 or something, into this. And now I have to kind of keep going because like I've already paid for it, and now I hope someone buys this thing because I'm going to auction it. Right. Well, sure. I guess I don't have to auction it, but I could have just left it on there, but to auction it, you need to pay for that. So anyway, that's a big gotcha.
Yeah, it's a pricey experiment, and I hope you make your money back. Or
right, so I posted, so that was one big gotcha, Johnny. And then the other one was like, well, what kind of auction do I do? Do I do an auction? Do I sell it right away? I didn't want to do what Matt Galligan did and set the price at $1 and accidentally have somebody buy it for $1 like right away. And then now I'm out $169 for gas. Right. It's a tricky endeavor. And so I was trying to figure out what would be the right thing. Well, I put it up at like $200 or $209. And I was like, oh, it's out there for like a week. No one bought it. I shared it a little bit, but I wanted to see if OpenSea was like a marketplace, like some of these other places where there's like actual like traffic, or is it like anything else, like where you have to literally market your own stuff? And it looks like it's, you have to market your own stuff just like anywhere else. So it's not like they're out there helping you because you're in this marketplace, sell your artwork. Right. So I think that could be a real value add for any site that kind of is similar to OpenSea to actually try to help the artists like move their work. Right. So see that as an opportunity. Anyway, so it's been out there a week or so. I should have made the auction longer. I mean, I did an auction instead of a straight sale. I should have made the auction longer. I should have done it in Ethereum instead of, you get to pick what kind of, currency you're in. And I picked you can pick what kind of currency you're in. I picked US dollars. I guess I was just trying to convert it and I messed up, and I should have made it Ethereum so that it was easier for people to like buy it in Ethereum.
Right.
And so long story short, I don't know if it's going to sell or not. I lowered the price a little bit to make it a little bit easier, but still I was trying to make back that gas fee. And so it's like 170 something bucks, and it closes today in a few hours. But long story short, it's an interesting experiment. I wasn't really looking to like make this thing a lucrative endeavor or anything. Kind of fun little thing to do and see how it works. And along the way, I don't know if you remember, I was like texting, like, should I do this further? Like, what's the next step? I was kind of like anything, like first time you get on the internet or the first time you buy crypto, I was a little nervous. Like, what am I doing? Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I will say that I'm a big fan of your drawings. I know that you've been doing one a day, and I don't know if you're familiar. I've been following Beeple for a while on Instagram, and his thing is he does a digital rendering, whether it be a video or a piece of artwork, a JPEG or something like that, once a day, every day for, like you said, like 14 years or something. But
oh, wow.
They're amazing, right? I mean, they're like movie quality images and movies and short films. They're really something else.
Was that a compilation of all those, and they turned into then a big piece that he sold?
That's what he did. He took like his 14 years of doing a digital thing every day, put them all together, and sold it for $69 million, which is wild, right? I mean, that's amazing.
Here I am, like I'm 100 days in. I'm like, wow, I've really accomplished something. And you're like, no, this guy's done it for 14 years and just sold a print for $69 million as an NFT.
They're pretty wild. No offense to you.
It knocks you down.
your unicorn is your black and white unicorn is great use of positive negative space. It's really something else. I like it.
No, I think that's the thing about those drawings, John, is it's not about the drawing quality as much as it's about the process. And it's like, and not only that, it's like I literally only give myself like 20 minutes to do it. Like, it's not like I'm here, like some of these drawings that people do are probably they spend hours. I see some great artists on Instagram as well. And they're spending like months doing like one thing and in one drawing. And I'm like, with same time, I use colored pencils. They use colored pencils. Like, of course, theirs looks like literally it could be a human or it could be a whatever, because it's so realistic and they spend so much time just on these little, shadings and it's amazing. So anyway, I'm by no means trying to do that. I just want to get it out and kind of, do the process, and it feels good to kind of do something every day like that, creative. So anyway, different purpose, I guess you could say, but still fun.
Oh, for sure, man. And I wish you the best of luck with that. And I know that we want to keep shifting gears here a little bit on the show. Yeah.
And so I'm a minted NFT artist. Is all I can say. That's all. I put that on there somewhere. I don't know where we can put that, but that's
add it to your CV and put it on LinkedIn.
There we go.
I'm impressed.
Check that off. Yep. All right. So let's keep moving.
Cool. Yeah. So I know that one of the things we like to do here on the show is celebrate people, in our networks. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. So maybe we should jump into some of that.
I don't even know what to do with this.
Stuff's going on?
It's so much. There's been a bit of a break between the time we did our last podcast. There's just so much going on. So I guess, should we just rattle off a few and then move on? Or what do you feel like, Johnny?
Yep. Get into it.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of Blake Hall. He's been a part of our community for a long time. He's a veteran, and he started a company a while back called Troop Swap. It's now called ID.me. He actually raised another round of funding, and with that has turned his company into a unicorn. Speaking of unicorns, it's valued at over $1.5 billion. So big ups to Blake Hall and continuing this path. It's been over a decade now, and he's been just continuing to build this out, and really amazing stories. So love what he's doing. Congratulations to Elizabeth Yin and Eric Bahn over at the Hustle Fund, raising their second fund. Big stuff. They're doing some big things in the venture space with early stage startups. Love what they're doing. My brother-in-law, Mike Levins, big ups to him. He jumped into the startup space about a year and a half ago, and his company he's with is Counterpart. They are in the insurance tech space, and they raised a $10 million round. So they're off to the races now. Now the work begins, and I'm super excited and cheering them on as well as they continue to grow that company, and a lot of opportunity in the insurance tech space for sure. Let's see, what else, Johnny? We've got Suneel Gupta. His book finally came out. We talked to him at the Startup of the Year Summit prior to the book coming out. Backable is the book, and it's really good. I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet, but I read a preview back then and actually got a chance. I've been actually listening to it, And the first couple chapters, man, are amazing. So can't wait to finish it out. And it's just a really good book. So check that out. Let's see who else here. So many, Johnny, if you want to jump in with any of these that you think might bubble up here.
Well, Suneel, just a quick note, Suneel and both Blake Hall have been very gracious and are just great people. And they were also featured on our other podcast, Startup of the Year podcast. So if anybody's interested in hearing some tips and tricks from those gentlemen, feel free to check that out because they provided some great insight there.
Yep. No, that's a good one. Another one with a new book, a couple of ones. They're both kind of similar. Susan McPherson had launched her book, The Lost Art of Connecting, which is interesting in this time when we've been disconnected for a while. This book comes out at a perfect time as we continue to, everyone kind of emerges from their, COVID pandemic cocoons, if you will. And so that's out. So congrats to her. And I see her doing good stuff with that book and giving a lot of talks and whatnot. And also David Spinks is an author of a book called Business of Belonging, which is all about community. So a lot of emphasis these days on building a community around your company or building a community at your company or for your business around your product. And so that's a really timely one. And then our friends over at down in Tampa, Ellery Linder and Daniel Rushton, they were part of our Start of the Year a couple years ago. They were a top 5 company with their company Fruitful. They just relaunched it as Wherewithal. So it's an interesting company in the apparel space. If you're interested in checking out, just go to shopwherewithal.com, learn more there. So many other things. Old friend Rick Klau, who was at Google before that from Chicago. He was at FeedBurner. Met him years ago. He just was appointed the Chief Technology Innovation Officer over in California for the state. So he's back. He's actually in the government now. He's at Google Ventures for a long time. Lisa Hellebo has raised a rolling fund for I think fashion tech. So she's doing great stuff. Lots of new funds in Chicago with Chicago Ventures just launched one. Another new fund. So congrats to those guys. We've got Brian Luerssen has got a new fund is investing in underrepresented founders in Chicago. Jenny Fielding has a new fund for the Midwest called the Fund Midwest. Chester over at Atomic had just raised $260 million for their new fund. So lots of new funding stuff. There's just so much news, so many people doing amazing things. And then one more out in, you've got Brit Morin, who's in San Francisco Bay Area. I was on the cover of San Francisco's magazine, talking about her work with female entrepreneurship. And another one out in the Bay, but he was from DC originally. Cyrus Radford has a new company called Spine, which is going to supercharge existing spreadsheet tools. And one more. This one is, I guess, is on a high note because 420 was this month. Zach Lipson he's out. He was actually in when I met him, he was out in Detroit area. I don't know if he's still out there, but anyway, he raised a Series C for his company Dutchie, which brings the valuation of their company to $1.7 billion, and it's in the cannabis space. I'll leave it at that, Johnny.
Wow. Well, Frank, those are some amazing things to be celebrated. Lots of good stuff going on with everybody in the network. So, and if anybody out there has anything exciting going on, please feel free to send it Frank's way. He'll get it in his newsletter, and then we'll get it out on the pod. So,
we've got an email address. Remember, John, we've got an email address. Frank@est.us, and we will read all of your messages.
Wonderful. Cool. So shifting gears again, at Established and Startup of the Year, we help a lot of different organizations with their production needs and also some consulting needs as well. So I know that we have some events coming up. We've been working with our good friends and partners over at Powder Keg for their upcoming Unvalley Conference, which is coming back May 19th and 20th. We also worked hand in hand with them on their Unvalley event back in December. So lots of big names are going to be involved. Feel free to check out that and register today. We have a short link. It's est.us/UVPK. And we'll also drop it in the show notes. Frank, do you have any comments about the upcoming conference? Because I know you're pretty excited about it as well.
Yeah, it's a great event. There's some of our old friends, Gary Vee and Anna Mason from Rise of the Rest, and a bunch of others are participating. So it should be a lot of fun, and it's coming up quick, 4 weeks out. So get your tickets.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it as well. So, and then we also have our we work with NASA, their iTech program, and they're hosting an event coming up May 27th, which is going to be showcasing 10 companies with innovations that might help with future NASA missions, which is, I don't know. I mean, you couldn't think of anything cooler as far as I'm concerned, but we'll drop an RSVP and way to register for that event in the show notes as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun as well. Some great companies that are helping them with their missions. And I love seeing the technology that comes out and, how NASA can apply it to their various experiment, missions and things. And it's great. It kind of leads into some of the articles that I've been reading, John. Should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I don't know if you saw this, but there was a really interesting moment this past week or so where NASA they flew a helicopter on Mars. And that sounds like a trivial thing because we fly helicopters around, Earth all the time, but it's actually the first time that's actually happened on another planet. So pretty groundbreaking. It's like the Wright brothers moment of Mars, I feel like. So I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Yeah. And I have my own, I'm a drone hobbyist. I have my own drone that I fly around on occasion. And it's hard enough when you're sitting here watching the thing fly over your street or your house or whatever, let alone flying a helicopter off of a Mars rover, on Mars. I can't even imagine what that would be like to be piloting that thing. First of all, the cost involved. Second of all, there has to be some sort of a delay, I'm assuming, in controlling that thing. So it's pretty cool. That the images were amazing.
Yeah. So you can check out the images. We'll drop a link in the show notes, but pretty interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know, it's literally out of this world. So, and speaking of out of this world, there's actually going to be soon, I say soon, but it's still about, 6 years out. The first space hotel is scheduled to open in 2027. Are you going to take a space vacation, Johnny?
No, you know what? I have a hard enough time keeping my world together here on the planet Earth. So I think I'm going to stick to my feet on the ground. Although it sounds pretty cool. I don't know. That sounds a little bit too far out there for me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes. Give it a couple runs and see how it all goes first, and then just decide if that's the future of my vacations. Because I don't know, like I like to go on. Some of my vacations are kind of chill vacations, and the others are more adventure. But that is like space adventure, which I don't think anybody's ever done. It's like, other than astronauts. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, let them work some of the kinks out, like Apple does with the iPhones when they have a new model. Let them kind of work some of those out before you give it a spin. So, but it really sounds cool. Just even be having those conversations is really interesting.
We live in the future. That's wild.
Yep.
So speaking of wild, let's talk about, there's this new AI, artificial intelligence, out there that allows you to take some of your old photos of like grandparents and whatnot, and it brings them to life almost in like this video format. I know you saw this kind of circulating the internet. I saw it a lot on Instagram, and you can just upload a photo and it turns it into like a little video where they act like maybe what they would have acted like if they were still alive. Yeah,
I've played with it a little bit. I didn't do it from loved ones that have passed away. I did it with people that are still around, and it was a little bit creepy. But that technology has been around for a little while now. I think that they're just kind of spinning it in or utilizing that marketing play on, using it for people that have passed away. But I don't know if you've played with it or not, but it was kind of a little creepy when I.
I also voted creepy. I mean, it's cool for a second, but I was like, oh man, like this is my, great great grandmother or whatever, and she's alive now. And it's, I don't know. I haven't really gone that far with it, but I just wanted to mention it because I think it's interesting what it kind of brings to light, the whole, deep fake, kind of thing that's happening. I don't know if you saw there's a whole Tom Cruise movie or clip out there on the internet that's not real. So I think we're going to have a hard time in the future realizing what's actually real and what's not. And some of that is happening now.
Yep. I agree. Very cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And then I know that, one of the things you'd sent me, you texted me a lot of articles to read and check out. And one of which was, there's, I own a Peloton. And so I'm always interested to find about new things because it is expensive, right? So I know that you sent me an article about, how to get kind of a Peloton type of a workout for a little cheaper, which is always interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't have a Peloton. And that's why I sent it. It's like there are other options. I just haven't jumped on that yet. I guess, I've got a lot. There's so many apps that are, close to free-ish, and plus now we've talked about this before on the pod. You've got Nike that's in the space. You've got Lululemon with Mirror. You've got Peloton. You've got Apple. There's a lot of different players in the space. So you kind of, it's really gotten competitive to the point where, it's hard for you to kind of digest what to do, but there's an article out there that kind of shows you a couple different ways to do it without spending the whatever couple grand to get the bike and all that, or, 30 to 60 grand to get the swimming pool that allows you to swim in space, which is what I would love. I would actually love to get one of those, those pools that allows you to swim in one little kind of like hot tub space, if you will. And so there's a lot of options, but at the end of the day, for me, the biggest hurdle is actually not in the apps or the equipment. It's literally finding the exact routine / time to make it a regular thing. So,
for sure. And then, did you see this article? I'm pretty sure you did because you sent it to me.
What's that?
But there was a softball pitcher that struck out every batter.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to talk about this, and kind of we can then move on to some other things because we're kind of tight on time. But it's pretty amazing. There was a college pitcher. She's a softball pitcher, and she literally struck out every single batter in her 7-inning game, which, I cannot remember the last time I've ever heard any of that. And I'm a huge baseball fan, have been for years. I don't think I've ever heard that happen. And I heard it bubble to the kind of national news. She hadn't even noticed, which is pretty phenomenal to begin with. But, pretty amazing feat for this pitcher from North Texas. She threw a perfect game, struck out 21 batters. Her name's Hope Drawtween, I think is how you say her last name. But we should be talking all about Hope Drawtween the rest of our days, because she is literally the best pitcher I've ever heard of.
Yeah, it's wild, right? I mean, that's the fact that she didn't even notice that she was doing it is what blows me away. So
yeah, so way to go, Hope. That's pretty amazing. Keep going. I'd love to see what else you can do, because that is pretty top notch. I don't know if you can top that one though. That's unbelievable, and we should be talking about that for many days, just like the whole Casey struck out story, right? So
for sure,
yeah. All right, so I know we're tight on time, so I've been watching a few things, Johnny, and but I haven't had a lot of time to watch things. We've been working a lot and a lot of stuff done. So, but I did splurge a little bit and watch this show on HBO Max called Made for Love, which is this kind of weird sci-fi thing. It kind of caught me on the whole, like, it's kind of a spoof on a number of tech companies, like CEOs and kind of the different technologies that are out there. But this one actually, it kind of, the CEO is kind of weird and eccentric and tries to intertwine the lives of two, I guess you say, loved ones. And you kind of have to watch it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's worth watching. Kind of keeps you going. It's kind of funny. Has some big names in it as well. And I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch that or no?
I haven't, no, but I'm adding it to my queue right now.
Okay. And then a couple more. So Seaspiracy is another one that came out on Netflix, backed by Leonardo DiCaprio. Filmmaker goes out to try to figure out what humans have done to the marine species out in the ocean, and unfortunately uncovers a lot. And this actually has gotten a lot of heat out in the press, some of which is about global corruption, blah blah blah, or some of which is about the global corruption, but also some of which is maybe they didn't necessarily tell you all the facts. So, but either way, it's interesting, and it may make you think or rethink how you consume seafood, because the oceans are not as plentiful as they used to be. Let's just keep it at that. And then I know there's one more that you watched as well, and I got a chance to see it at South by Southwest. You want to jump in? Yeah,
it's a documentary called Sasquatch, and it's on Hulu right now. You know that I'm a huge Bigfoot and Sasquatch. What would be the right word for it? Fan, let's just say, for lack of a better word, right? And so I've been watching it I watched the whole series on Hulu, and it was interesting. I thought it was going to be a little bit more about the elusive North American mountain ape, and less. It ends up talking quite a bit about cannabis farmers in Northern California back in the early 90s, which
right.
I wish it would have been a little bit more about the fictitious or the mythical Sasquatch and less about the cannabis farmers. But all in all, it was, I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting too. It's just, I think it leads to more. I think, is it going to be a series? I thought it looked like it was going to be a series on Hulu.
There was 3 or 4 episodes and I watched them all. So
you did? Okay, I only watched one of them. So maybe I need to go over there and check out the rest, but yeah, I'll check that out. And, so those are some good things to consume when you're not doing your other thing. And, obviously I love the Sasquatch hunters as well. So good stuff.
Yeah. There's some pretty interesting characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. And I know we've been busy pumping out podcasts on our other podcast, Startup of the Year podcast. So we've got a number of great interviews out there. Recently, we had Lo Tony and Meredith Feynman, Tim Draper, and who else do we have? David from
Dvorak.
Dvorak, yeah, Dvorak from Kamana Health, which is a company that we invested in. So great stuff out over there if you're interested in startup related, updates and information, and obviously some additional inspiration as well. So, so anything else good going on, Johnny?
Nope. I wish everybody a nice week ahead of them, and just good talking with you, Frank, as always.
Yes. Spring is in the air. I think it snowed a minute ago. So I don't know what that's all about, but hopefully it's getting it out of its system, and we're looking for more sunshine and obviously a little bit more normal lifestyle here in the near future. So thanks so much for joining us today on the Somewhat Frank podcast. Johnny, good to talk to you as well. Everyone, thanks for subscribing, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks for listening to another Somewhat Frank podcast episode. Be sure to rate and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to celebrate your wins, small and large, with gratitude. It will make your journey more enjoyable. We'll be back soon with another episode.